How's it going, everybody? My name is Infamous Isaac, and I'm here with a video on the sequel to John Wick 1, John Wick Chapter 2. And this movie came out 2017, 3 years after the first one, and I'm ready to talk about it. I'm gonna go non-spoiler route first, and then I'm gonna go into the spoilers. So, non-spoiler route ahead, dude. This movie is an improvement on the first movie in almost every single way. Oh my goodness, the stakes are higher, the action is better, the story is better, the the music, the tension, like I like the music more in this one because there's no like vocal tracks in this. At the very least there isn't like a song playing over a montage or anything like that. And I feel like that fits more with what we were watching than it did with the first movie because if the first movie didn't have those songs, I feel like it would have been better, but not on par with this movie because this movie was just a spectacle, literally from start. Well, not from start to finish. It's like I say 40 minutes in is when it really starts kicking into high gear, but not in terms of like action, just in terms of the story because like the first 40 minutes are build up. And for some people that may not be what they like. So I understand why you wouldn't want to maybe watch something like that when you're here for action. But the build up makes the payoff for the end of the movie and honestly going into the third movie crazy. So I the way that they set up going into the third movie, my friend Reaper was telling me about it. Like he was telling me how his favorite is the second movie because he finished them. Like he's he binged them. He binged all of them because they were that good. And he was telling me how the second movie was his favorite, but the third movie is good because of the setup in the second movie. So like the the second movie is a vital part. Oh, excuse me, piece of this series, and it is. It definitely is. Like without going into spoilers, this movie it is important. It is a very important moment in John Wick's life that changes his life forever. Like, and I mean forever. The ramifications of his actions in this movie are irreparable. It's actually crazy. So, I genuinely cannot wait to see them. The visuals were stunning. The not effects, but just I guess the set pieces were awesome. They were so cool. The shots were better in this one. Overall, it was just an improvement. I gotta give this movie like an 8.5 out of 10 compared to the 7.5 I gave it last time because I had a feeling like this movie was going to improve on the first one. And oh my goodness, it really did. It improved on like every facet. It's crazy. But yeah, let me get into the spoiler section. Spoiler free section over. So this movie takes place after the first one, where John Wick, he lost his dog, he lost his wife, his both unrelated reasons, but he lost his dog and his car because of related reasons. And after getting done with that, he goes to find his car because he got revenge on the person who killed his dog and killed his dad as well. Well, excuse me. He killed the person that killed his dog, and then that person's father, he killed them as well. Yosef's father. There you go. So he goes now to retrieve his car, and his car is actually impounded by Yosef's father's uncle or brother, excuse me. Yosef's uncle. That makes more sense. Yosef's uncle has it, and he's just over here like, dog. My son, or excuse me, my nephew is dead because of like robbing a car and stealing or killing a dog, bro. They're both dead. So many men, so many people are dead because of a dead dog in a car that is impounded in my facility. And the movie starts off the same way that they mention it in John Wick 1, where they give the repertoire of him, or John Wick's repertoire, excuse me. Where it's like the man killed three people in a bar with a pencil. And the guy's like, yeah, yeah, I know. Or like the assistant to the guy who's talking right now, right? He knows, like, yeah, I heard the story and it's just doing the same montage that they did in John Wick 1 but in John Wick 2 now. And it's so cool. But I won't lie, I prefer the last two-thirds of the movie more than I do the first one third of the movie. because this car impounded scene I wasn't really interested in. I was kind of bored watching it. It was just like, oh, it it is crazy how action packed it is. It's not like explosions everywhere. It's like John Wick is a spy. That man is basically a spy, not in the same sense of like Lloyd Forger, where he's looking for intel. Not like, well, actually, better. Yeah, he's an assassin. That works a lot better. Not a spy. He he goes around. He's not flashy, but when it's like 1 to 1 or like 1v5, he will get crazy. He will pull out his tech. But regardless, he shows up. He takes care of everybody in the impound, and he gets his car back. Not like unscathed because, he's John Wick. He's only human, and that's what I love about these movies too, is that John Wick doesn't get away unscathed. The man has battle damage on his face, and at the end of the movie, you can tell that man has so much damage, wear and tear on his body. He is not the same person he was when he started in John Wick 1. It's actually insane. And once he gets his car back, he goes back to his house and he calls uh, Aurelio. Yeah, Aurelio. And he's like, "Yo, can you fix my car?" And then Aurelio's like, "Yeah, sure. Just it'll be done in like 2030." So, oh my god, excuse me. It's really late, so I'm sorry about that. I keep yawning. It's just I stayed up pretty late to watch this movie because I wanted to finish it, or I wanted to watch it. So that's why I'm yawning so much. But anyways, so they go and fix his car, and I was just chilling at his house, and somebody shows up. San Santino D'Antonio, I think is his name. I don't remember if it's Santini or Santoni or Santino. There you go. Santino D'Antonio. I almost thought it was Mike D'Antoni, but it's whatever. So he shows up at John's house and he's like, "Dog, I'm calling in a favor." And he pulls out the one and only thing that binds these two for life, a marker. And a marker is basically a blood oath where you and the issuer of this marker are bound together forever until he goes to call in this favor. It's literally a blood oath because yeah, John had to put his imprint, his thumb onto that marker. And Winston, or not Winston, excuse me, different person, Santino has to put his blood as well to mark it done. And it's issued by the Continental because the Continental runs everything. And that's one thing I actually did want to mention as well that I didn't mention in the first movie. The Continental is so cool. Genuinely such a cool part of this movie that makes it so original to me. Like it's an agency. It's an agency that houses all these agents, these assassins, but it like the rules of it, the rules of engagement are so cool as well because the Continental, no one can beef in the Continental. If you have business or contracts or issues or orders, you cannot do it in the Continental. And that comes into play so many times in the first and second movie. In the first movie with Miss Perkins, again when she dies and all that, because she got labeled excommunicado, and also because she assaulted John in the Continental. And then in the second movie, you'll see how it plays once I finish summarizing it. But John declines the marker, even though he can't. He physically can't because if he does, they're going to go kill him. Like you cannot decline the marker once it's issued. So Santino leaves, obviously not without penance, not without penance. And he posts himself up on the block close to John's house and he uses a grenade launcher to blow it up. And that scene was crazy. Has John Wick flying out of the house, bro. Actually crazy. And John now just basically swears, like, yeah, I'm going to kill this man. There's no way that you're gonna burn down my house with all the memorabilia of my wife, almost killing me and my dog, and then expect me not to kill you once the contract is done. You're crazy and you're stupid. The man is dumb. Santino is like he's a cool villain. I'm not using this to bash him. It's just he's a dumb guy. There's no way that you expected John Wick to help you after his retirement is done. Like obviously, you hear that he's unretired because it's a business, but there's a difference between it being personal and it being vengeance. It was personal with his wife and his dog. It was vengeance when he's coming after you because you physically hurt him for no reason. On top of like emotionally scarring him again because of what you did to his house, you know? The last vestige of his wife's memory gone because of you. You're not making it out of light. Like you're not making it out alive. You're done. You're cooked. As soon as you did that, he was coming for you. He's literally a specter, bro. It's actually crazy. He is a ghoul skulking towards you. It's insane. But now John basically goes to meet with Santino. Just be like, it was a cool scene too because Santino was mentioning how John's probably thinking about every single way he could kill Santino right now, all the possible exits, every tool that he could use to kill Santino. And John is just like, yeah, I would use my hands. And it's like, bro, this guy is so cool. This guy is so cool. But regardless, he gets the contract from Santino. He's just like, yo, I need you to go and kill my sister. Excuse me. To go and kill my sister, Gianna Dantina, or D'Antonio, excuse me. And the obvious question is why? Because John Wick knows her. Jonathan knows her. And he's just like, to open up the power vacuum for the seat. Because if she dies, I get it. And he's just like, whatever, man. I'm doing it. I'm tired of this. Once this marker's done, I'm killing you. So he goes over to Rome after all that business is set up, and it's this really cool montage, right? Where you just have three different places, like the map people showing him, oh yeah, this is how you're gonna get in, how you're gonna get out. You have the arms people, where is this guy like, yo, let me show you all these guns, all this weaponry, like all this, an AR, a pistol, a Glock, bro, all this. And then you have the people making the suit because he has to be professional, you know. He's going to a party. It's like a festival, but it's still a party at the end of the day. And so all that set up, cool montage. Like this is like 40 minutes into the movie, so this is why I was mentioning earlier. Like it does take a while for the movie to start compared to the first movie, but like I don't really count that first action scene as like starting the movie because the story hasn't been placed yet. In the first movie, it takes like 20 minutes, so it's you know it's different. It's the first movie versus second movie, but I don't mind it as much because the second movie just doesn't stop once the action starts. It's actually crazy. But once that's all set up, this is where I think the movie truly begins, when John is going to invade Gianna's party. Super cool. The man sets it up by putting stuff in the catacombs as well, having his shotgun in the catacombs, his AR in the catacombs, just preparing, preparation. And he goes to find Gianna. That part, honestly, pretty easy. That part was pretty easy, all things considered. The part that wasn't easy was leaving. That was definitely the hardest part. There was no way he was meant to leave. But once he meets Gianna, they have a cool conversation, just her and him talking, because they're friends. You know, they're friends at the very least, associates more than Santino. But she's talking to him, and she's just like asking about Helen and what her name was, what she was like, what she would think looking down from heaven as she sees her husband just go on this crazy vengeance spree. And she actually does him a favor and she kills herself because she wants to go out on her own way, or her own way, excuse me. And that was just so surprising because the way that she did it too, she cut her veins, she slit her wrists, she died bleeding out. And it was just like, dang, yo, that's dark. That's really dark. But the shot where it happened, where John's pointing his gun at her in the pool, crazy, genuinely crazy. I gotta give it to the movie makers, you know, filmmakers here. the the cinematography of this movie was just a step above, a cutlet above the last movie. It's crazy. Like the last movie, I didn't have that many memorable shots that I could remember. This one, there's so many. There's genuinely so many. They stepped it up for this one. It was so good. But she dies, and John knows, like, yeah, there's gonna be hell to pay. And the first person that notices is Cassian, another agent from the Continental, or at the very least, another agent. Period. And Cassian is John Wick, except he worked for Gianna. He's really cool. Cassian is really, really cool. And him and Cassian have a conversation because Cassian catches John leaving. And he knows if John is here, something bad is going to happen or already did happen. And Cassian's like, "You have a good night, John?" And John's just like, "Yeah." Well, actually, no, I didn't. He's like, "Well, actually, excuse me. I messed it up completely." He's like, "You have a good night, John?" And he's like, "I'm afraid so." And then he's like, "I'm sorry to hear that." And they're looking at each other like I say like a good like 10 feet away from each other. They pull out their pistols and they start beefing, bro. It's crazy. And now John has to escape the hardest task of the mission, actually escaping. Because once Cassian was here, it was over, bro. So now he's running, he's leaving, and the people who were actually monitoring him from Santino's side are also betraying him because, they weren't going to let him leave loose ends and all that. But also, he knew John was going to come kill him. So at the end of the day, they're like, there's no way he was going to, to let John live because of John's nature. At the end of the day, if John would have returned to just living peacefully, he would have been fine in some sense. He would have been chased out by Santino, but he would have still had a chance to run away. But no, John is fighting. John is still fighting. He's standing his ground, which is fire. Super cool. So the man leaves. He's all this crazy action, and he meets Cassie, and again they have this crazy fight. Super cool fight. Honestly, one of the best fight I've seen, like in terms of choreography. Oh my goodness, this fight was crazy. Cassian definitely provided the best fights in this entire movie series so far. I am so happy he was in this movie. He looked so cool, bro. And he fought so well. But it's Jonathan Wick, bro. There's just nothing you can do about that. So they're fighting, and it turns out that they're actually really close to the Continental because they burst through a window, and the man in this Continental, I forgot his name, but he basically stops those two from fighting because if they kill each other, in the Continental, they're both excommunicado. So it's literally just business. They have to stop. They have to be professional here. So they stop and they go into the lounge, go into the bar, decompressing, just talking a little bit. And Cassian's just basically like, "Dog, why'd you do it?" And Wick's just like, "It was a marker from her brother." And he's like, "Oh, so you had to do it. Well, when I see you, I'll make it quick." And John's just like, "Don't worry, I will too." And so Cassian leaves, and he sees that one of the people who was actually spying on him is in the bar, and she speaks in sign language. I think she's mute, and mute or deaf. I don't remember. I'm sorry. That's really rude of me, but I always get them mixed up because mute you can't speak, but deaf you can't hear. I think it's deaf actually. Yeah, because you have to use your hands for sign language, and you wouldn't need to do that if you were mute. Or I guess actually you would need to as well because you can't speak. But with deaf people, I don't know. I'm sorry. That's rude. I apologize for that. I Please, if anybody knows, clarify in the comments because I don't want to be ignorant about that. But I don't know. I'll probably look it up or something. But anyways, yeah. So this girl, she's mute. She doesn't speak, and she's using sign language. She's just like, yeah, I'm coming for you. I'll see you. I'll be seeing you. And John's just like, unless if I see you first. And now John is basically has this $7 million bounty on his head because Santino placed it on him after he killed Gianna. Quote, because, what man would he be if he let the murder of his sister go free? The man's sick. The man is genuinely sick. He ordered the hit on his sister and then acts like he didn't do anything wrong. Even though he ordered the hit, you have no blood on your hands physically, but you have blood on your hands metaphorically. You are no saint. You are an evil man who deserves nothing. No family, no riches, no fortune, no nothing. Actually despicable man. But because of that, now John is being hunted by everybody in New York once he comes back. Everybody is hunting him. And like for the next 40 minutes, it's John literally just fighting for his life. We have another fight with Cassian on top of just other agents chasing him. And again, the Cassian fight is just so cool, bro. Part one and part two are some of the best fights in the entire movie, bro. If not the best fights in the movie. They're so cool. And just Cassian fight part two, where it's in the train station and just going into the train as well. Fire. I love the fact that they were just shooting the pistols like covertly in a public area. It was so cool. And then the train as well, where they were just looking at each other and they pull out their knives. Like, bro, come on, that's so fire. That is so fire. But next, after that, Wick kills Cassian. Which really sucks because I was hoping that they would work together to kill Santino and then they would kill each other. But oh well, though the movie had different plans. So Cassian's dead, and now Wick is going to Santino's museum because they're having a party. And Santino obviously notices that Wick is coming for him because he sees him in the middle of the hall, and they clear out space. Wick immediately goes for the shot, bro. And now it's just a chase into the museum, just chasing after Santino. Super cool, really cool. Not my favorite. I think my favorite is still the subway and just the train station chase. It was super cool, super cool. But regardless, I forgot to mention actually, in between the train station and the museum, Wick goes like the only reason he escapes the train station is because he paid a homeless man a gold coin to keep him safe because he knows that the homeless men have a communication system in the underground. So he's gonna take him to his boss. And once he does that, it was actually one of the guys that John Wick tried to kill. And obviously he's bitter. He's very bitter about it. But John asked for help because either they kill John and get to 7 million and have a war to face with the whatever they call it, the people at the high table, or you let John face all the heat and let him get his revenge, not minding any beef at all. And so they let him have his way. They give him a gun, and now he goes to the museum. In the museum, though, again, skip forward. We just have this crazy chase, optical illusion area, like the Hall of Reflection. Really cool in concept. It was difficult to follow sometimes, though. Like sometimes it could just get confusing, and it was just like I had to definitely rewind it a couple times because it was just like, bro, what am I looking at right now? But it was such a cool concept. I love that they took the risk regardless. It was so awesome just thinking about it. Like, because you could be safe and you could be unoriginal and just go with the normal path. But that was so cool just watching that. I really enjoyed it. But once they get past that, what's his name? Santino escapes to the Continental, and John chases him immediately. He has his gun like open as well. It's out in the open. And he goes to the lounge, and Winston is actually there. And Santino already put the blood oath like away. It's done. It's sealed. Once he killed Gianna, it was over. Because Winston made him do that. Winston's or not the courier, but the proprietor of this version of the Continental in New York. So he made sure that it was sealed. And then after that, John came in, and Winston notices that he has his gun open, like it's out in the open, and he's like, Jonathan, please, do not do this. Think about what you're doing. And Santino is just like, I have protection. I have a diplomatic immunity. You can't kill me in here, John. Just think about it. You could have ran away, but no, you chose not to run away. I feel like you like this life, John. And John Wick, being John Wick, doesn't let him finish and shoots him immediately in the head, bro. No reprieve whatsoever. And John knew this going in. Like if he was going to do this, there was never a doubt in his mind that he was not going to kill D'Antonio. So he leaves the Continental, and he takes his dog with him because he left it with Lance Reddick, aka the desk clerk. And later on in the day, like the next day, they Lance Reddick goes to get him, and he meets with Winston. And John goes to see Winston. He's like, "Yo, why am I not dead yet? I thought I was excommunicado." And Winston's just basically like, "You are. The only reason you're not dead is because I deemed so. I deemed it so, John." And everybody walking turns around and looks at John Wick. And that scene was crazy, bro. Oh my gosh, that was such a fire shot. I love that. It was awesome. But John sees them turn around and he's just like, all right, man. Well, tell the high table, tell anybody, anybody who comes after me, I'll kill them. I'll kill them all. And then Winston's like, I sure you will. Jonathan, Winston, and he leaves. John leaves because he has an hour before he is globally chased. It is international. The man is not safe on planet Earth because of the Continental and because of the High Table. And it's just like, wow, what an ending. Oh my gosh, going from like the beginning of movie one where he's happy, he has his wife, all that's going on, to the end of movie two where he's at his lowest point in life. He has no home. He has a dog, but that's it. Or like they don't have a name either. He lost his wife. He lost his first dog, Daisy. His car, he'll never be able to get it because Aurelio works for the Continental as well, or at the very least in that organization group. So John is just ostracized. Like there's nothing he can do now, which is just crazy to think about. But I love this movie. I thought this was a perfect sequel, improving on the first movie in almost every facet, if not every facet. Like the choreography was amazing. I feel like better than the first one. Not in terms of like the beginning of this movie, but during the 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 2/3, the last 2/3 of the movie itself. I feel like that's when it really just got started improving and having the creativity of the John Wick one that I saw, where it's just some of the things that they were doing and how they were fighting were so cool. The reloading is back as well, and that was something that Reaper mentioned that I didn't mention, I think, or I did but just briefly. The reloading in this movie is so cool, like genuinely so cool. I love the fact that John has to reload. Sometimes it's kind of unbelievable that how many shots he gets in his gun, but I don't know. I'm not a gun expert, but the fact that he has to reload and it plays into the combat is just so cool. It's such a cool constraint, but like you would think it's such a bad thing, like it makes it boring. But no, the fact that it's there is such a cool constraint and makes it different from other action movies. And that's what's so cool about it. Genuinely, I love that about it. And you have the music. I feel like it's a lot more fitting that it's ambient music. There's again not that many vocal tracks. I like the fact that the story just improves wholeheartedly. I love the scenery as well, going from Rome back to New York and just how they use that and just the Continental as well, how it looks. The burned down remains of John's house, the gray and blue tones versus the bright neon lights of Rome that were in the party. Also New York as well. Like I already mentioned it, but regardless, like the movie looks great. It genuinely looks great. Just overall, it's awesome. Again, it's an 8.5 out of 10. I hope that the third movie improves upon it, but I don't know. I'm kind of nervous a little bit because you have an open checkbook to write as much as you want. The third movie is longer. I think it's like 2 hours and like I think like 2 hours and 20, 2 hours and 15 around there. But I don't know. I have to wait and see for sure. But yeah, that's my rating of John Wick 2. 8.5 out of 10. Really good movie. If you like action, again, watch this movie. Just it can get gory, so just be careful. But it is not for children. Do not watch this movie for children, like at all. So yeah, anyways, I think I'll be seeing you. Well, not think, I know. I hope y'all have a good rest of your day. Thank y'all for watching as always. I don't say this often, but if you enjoy, please like and subscribe, It really does help out. I don't say it often because I don't feel the need to, but sometimes it doesn't help, Or it doesn't hurt saying it once in a while. But yeah, I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.